Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Let us create a fun, sparkling, starry background winter card. This is a very simple card. You can easily mass produce it in a bunch of different bright holiday colors. Well, before we get started, I would really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notified each time I post a new video. Let's take a look at the stamp set that I'll be using today. I have the 6x6 Christmas Sparkling stamp by Simon's Stamp. This was part of the Holiday Sparkle release which went live last month. I will leave a link down in the description box below where you can find products from this release. For my sentiment, I will be using the Sending Happy Thoughts Your Way sentiment from the Warmest Wishes stamp set by Simon's Stamp. This, I guess, was part of one of my card kits by Simon. Well, let's get started. I have this bright blue cardstock that I have cut to 4 by 5 and quarter inches, which is slightly smaller than an A2 size card base. Now, since the cling stamp does not have very defined edges, I like to place my cardstock away from the edge of my stamping tool. I like to secure the cardstock in place with some really light tape runner. The adhesive on this tape is not very sticky and I can be rest assured that it won't tear my cardstock. I close the door of my stamping tool, which will now securely hold the stamp in place. I decided to heat emboss some of the beautiful gold embossing powder on this panel. So first I will prep my card front using my anti-static powder tool by Cat Scrappiness. Then I use some clear embossing and watermark ink by Simon's Stamp. You could also use Versamark ink instead. I used the ultra fine gold heat embossing powder by Simon's Stamp, which I poured over the entire card front. Now we can go ahead and heat fix this powder. Well, since I'm applying heat on the entire panel and not just a small portion of the panel, I am sure that this panel is going to warp. To minimize the warping of my panel, what I like to do is let the gun run for a minimum of 30 seconds and let it become really hot before I bring it over my cardstock. Once the powder starts melting, I like to keep moving my heat gun all over the panel. You could also apply some heat on the back of the panel. Well, even after this, my panel did warp a little. So while I go ahead and work on my sentiment, I kept this panel under a pile of books to flatten it out. For my sentiment, I have the Sending Happy Thoughts Your Way sentiment from the Warmest Wishes stamp set. I stamped it onto a white piece of cardstock and then heat embossed it using the same gold embossing powder. Well, this set does have some really beautiful sentiments which you can use for your Christmas cards or other holiday and winter cards. I wanted to add some grounding on this white sentiment circle which would go on the bright and busy blue gold background. So for that, I used a larger circle from the nested circle dies and cut out some of the gold cardstock and adhered it behind my sentiment circle. I used some liquid glue for that. Now we can mount this on our card front. You could turn this into a top folding or a side folding card. I wanted to keep it as simple as I could, so well, this sentiment circle would be the focal point of my card. I will not be adding any other embellishments or sequences to this card. Well, I did decide to add some little extra shine and brightness on this card. So I'm using the Galaxy Simon's Stamp Positively Saturated ink and I'm ink blending it all around the edges of my cardstock. The gold embossing powder will resist all that ink. All you need to do is once you're done ink blending, just wipe it out or buff it out using some paper towel or a cloth. Now all we have to do is stick our sentiment circle on this beautiful embossed card front. Now for my card base, I'm using the exact same blue color card. I have a top folding card here. I cut the card panel to be 11.5 by 4 1/4 inches and score it at 5.5 inches. So here we have a top folding card. For my sentiment circle, I used small foam squares to adhere it. I wanted to add some pop on this card. Here's a look at our finished card. I did add some snowflakes around the sentiment. Well, I love how this card turned out and I can't wait to batch produce these. Well, I didn't mass produce them today, but I will definitely upload a short video where I will show you all the fun colors of cardstock that I used to mass produce this design. I hope you had fun watching today's video and got inspired. I will leave a link down in the description box below for all the supplies that I used in today's video. I would love for you to become a subscriber to my channel, and if you do subscribe or are already a subscriber, please make sure to hit the bell icon so that you don't miss the next time I post. Hit the like button and let me know in the comments down below if you have any ideas or suggestions. Also, if you'd like to share your creations, please tag me on my Instagram at rp_shutterbug. There's a link to that in the description box below. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.